28 Years Later is a 2025 British film directed by Danny Boyle and written by Alex Garland, of course. And it stars Rocco Haynes, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Jodie Comer, and Ray Fiennes. So here we are, 28 years into the rage virus outbreak that led to a very quick end of civilization, leaving humanity to basically start over. The virus has been completely eradicated in Europe, or at least so you're told. You don't see it, but Britain has been quarantined indefinitely. It's an interesting premise that leaves me with kind of more questions than answers, which is a common theme here in this film. That said, though, we have to remember that this is just part one of a trilogy. So, I'm going to try and go easy on some of the issues that I had with this film. And as you probably know, this is the third film in the franchise, with 28 Days Later from 2002, of course, 28 Weeks Later from 2007. And normally I would be critical of legacy sequels, but this franchise was caught up in legal issues and development hell for years, so it kind of doesn't count, I guess. The beginning takes us back to the events of the original outbreak from the 2002 film, which I thought was really cool. And look, I had no idea really what to expect here, so this really worked for me. Then we jump forward 28 years after the second outbreak, where we meet the surviving communities of the British Isles. The film really doesn't focus on anyone in the village very much at all, aside from the family that are basically the three main characters and leads here. But I get it, there's only so much time, and this is not a particularly long film. So the family consists of Aaron Taylor Johnson and Jodie Comer, and their son Spike, played by Alfie Williams. I assumed that Aaron Taylor Johnson would probably be the lead here because he's, at least to me, he was the biggest name. But the lead here really is Alfie Williams. And it totally works. In fact, for a 13-year-old kid, I'd have to say he gives a far above average performance. And in fact, it was my second favorite of the film. And, my first was Ray Fiennes. So Alfie, had some pretty strong competition there. Now, one of the first things I noticed, and I was looking for it, was the cinematography and editing. I mean, Danny Boyle has a very distinct style visually, and I appreciate it, even if it's not particularly my thing. I just like directors that will, attempt something different. He used the same cinematographer as the first film, but I didn't really like the editing here. And I know a lot of people are pointing that out. A lot of people are complaining about it, and I'm going to have to throw my hat in that arena too. I think John Harris was trying to emulate that Danny Boyle look, and it was kind of jarring at times. Not a big deal, but I just wasn't really into it. He also worked with Danny Boyle on the 2017 Trainspotting sequel, so I guess he's the guy for Danny right now. So for the rest of the film, it's kind of a coming of age story for Spike, and it is it's very touching at times, especially when he meets Ray Fiennes' character, where I gotta say, I choked up a few times probably in that scene. So Spike is becoming disillusioned with his father, especially after learning that there's a doctor on the mainland, and his mom has been sick and untreated for some time. The villagers claim that the doctor is not only crazy, but probably dangerous, and they just want nothing to do with him. But Spike decides to one day, after he's just had enough, take things into his own hands. He isn't going to just sit and watch his mom die, and this actually meant a lot to me. This is what humanity is about. We look after each other, and we don't let each other suffer. We take risks. And while I did enjoy these aspects, I still felt like there was something just missing for me. At times, I felt like I was just watching a very decent zombie film. I do like the fact that the problem with the rage virus is ongoing, and people are continuing to see the changes, like long-term stuff that nobody could have seen coming. Like, one thing that I didn't really expect was the addition of alpha zombies, which seemed to be like a case where select few zombies, only certain ones would basically evolve, and they would grow stronger and smarter due to the virus evolving. It's new and it's cool and it makes sense, but when they show up, I'm reminded of two things. One is video game end boss fights, and the other was the infected people from the comic book called Cross, which I've talked about here on this channel briefly once or twice. But did anyone else get that vibe? Is it just me? And obviously I won't spoil it, of course, but the ending ties into the beginning, which was a cool touch, although it made for a very polarizing and very British scene. I've seen a lot of people complaining about it. I thought it was fun, completely jarring and unexpected, but kind of fun. That's all I'm going to say. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. If not, you'll know what I mean when you see it. So I'm giving 28 Years Later a 7 out of 10. And I had a pretty mixed experience. The story was okay, but I have to keep reminding myself, like I said, like that this is the first part of a trilogy. We are supposed to be left with questions. And that said, I'm super interested in seeing where this story goes, and I hope that Alex Garland has something great for us. I'm a huge fan of that guy. I will also watch 28 Weeks Later finally, because I really don't know anything about it, so I'll review that here when I get to it. But yeah, what did you guys think? Those of you that have seen it, did you think 28 Years Later lives up to its predecessors? Or did it live up to your expectations? And which film of the franchise so far is your favorite? Cheers, guys. I'll see you at the multiplex.